On the night of the attacks in Benghazi, you sent an email to your daughter, Chelsea, saying that Al-Qaeda lie group was responsible for the killing of the Americans.
We lost 3,000 people on 9/11. We lost Americans serving in embassies in Tanzania and Kenya when my husband was president. We lost over 250 Americans, both military and civilian, when Ronald Reagan was president in Beirut. And at no other time of those tragedies were they politicized. Instead, people said, let's learn the lessons and save lives, and that's what I did.
Secretary Clinton.
You talked in general terms, but you haven't really said what you would specifically do to improve the living conditions of Latinos.
Everything I just said will improve the living conditions, and I've spent a lot of time and effort talking to and mostly listening to Latinos. Jobs are the #1 issue with rising incomes.
Let me answer that question because it's a huge question. And one of the huge, I know.
After a certain number of years, you no longer have to pay anything. The government has to quit making money off of lending money to young people to get their education.
Secretary Clinton just said is absolutely right. I think I said it many months before she said it, but thanks for copying a very good idea. Now, the question, though...
Senator Sanders is always criticizing the two recent Democratic presidents, President Clinton and President Obama. And that's fine, but I wish he would criticize and join me in criticizing George W. Bush, who I think wrecked the economy and created the conditions for the Great Recession.
I gather Secretary Clinton hasn't listened to too many of my speeches or followed my work in the Congress, because very few people stood up to George W. Bush, whether it was the war in Iraq or any other of his policies.